Hello, everyone. I'm Yamino, the artist of Sister Claire, and I'm joined tonight by
the one, the only, the incredible, the indelible Ash Barnes. We're also joined tonight by
Sarah, also Lemon Lamb in the chat.
I forgot to tell people what I do, but I think people know by now.
I hope they know.
What do you do, Ash? What do you do?
What'd you do, Ash?
I write the missing moments and I help Eleanor write the comic.
I'm here to supervise.
You're here to get the water. I'm kidding.
Can everybody hear us okay?
Presumably, if they can't hear us, they're not going to reply to you.
Aw. Laura said, what Ash does is be magnificent. It's true. It is so true. I am magnificent. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh, Jamie asks how we are doing.
I'm doing good.
Not just how you're doing, but Yams and Ash. How are you doing?
I like it when people call you Yams.
I don't know how to feel.
Yams and Ash.
Oh, God. I don't know how to feel when people call me Yams because that's a name that I have not, like a nickname I haven't been called since I roleplayed on Gaia Online a million years ago.
Is it Cat Chum?
No, it's
I think
Rosie
it's Rosie
Slime.
Chum. I look over at Ella's shirt. She's got this huge swath of dog slime on her.
Is it coming off?
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh, good.
Oh, speaking of Rosie, guess who's
Speak
back?
of the little red devil, here she is. Rosie's actually been really good the last couple of days.
I think so too.
Don't jinx it, for God's sake.
Don't say that in front of her.
Rosie.
Hi,
She'll think
Rosie.
she could take a break.
Yeah, beat me to death with your tail. That's exactly what I wanted.
Good girl. Thanks for walking her, David.
Thank you, David.
Stop licking me.
Oh, but Jamie asked how you're doing. Elena said she's doing well. I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired and wobbly right now. So I will attempt to be interesting and fabulous today. Good girl. Oh, Laura says that she has questions tonight.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Boy.
Lay it on us. Let's have it.
Made on chic. That is a tiny, tiny child.
Tiny baby Jackson.
Do children come that small? Zora is also a very tall person.
Yeah, Zora's like over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, Zora's almost 7 feet tall.
That's not where children belong, Elena.
She threw Jackson into the lightning. Here's Jackson. Here's the lightning. This is how Jackson got her superpowers. This is Zora saying, Sky, take my child back. The lightning reaches down and grabs Jackson. She gives her up like Moana. Choose someone else.
God, Elena.
Me, the first week after I got Rosie. She was terrible. She's so much better now.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, now that I got that out of my system.
Doing all right there, Hoss?
Yeah.
Laura asks, so I literally just realized this. What the hell have Grim and the Cattery been doing while Clementine's away? There's a missing moment coming up that will answer that question. Hey, Rosie, did you just drink a lot of water so you could slam my leg with it?
Oh, of course she did.
Of course she did.
Of course.
Who's a good girl? Who's my baby? It's you. Yes, it is.
This just looks like Jackson's levitating. I was kind of going for like her jumping in the air.
You should do like the classic click in your heels kind of pose.
No, but she's not. She's like jumping like a kid would jump because they're excited.
Maybe
Does
you
this
should.
look okay, Ash? Does that look like a child jumping?
Yeah, I mean,
They both have kind of the same pose.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe you should only have one of them with both arms up.
Yeah.
Maybe just Jackson if she's gonna be jumping like that.
I thought it would be nice to have her kind of imitating her mom's pose, but yeah, I can tweak it.
I think it's just a little less interesting.
Mm-hmm. What would Zora do?
Jesus.
What would she do, Ash? Would she do it with just one hand? Like this? This kind of looks like she's posing for a dance.
What she could be doing is this, like pulling something down, as though pulling the lightning down.
I'll pose.
I am not sure that's going to carry across in this
And a
picture.
silhouette. Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. Should have been fine.
I mean, I'll try, but...
Ooh.
Oh, you know, while we were at Home Depot just before this, I think I accidentally really scared the lady in the gardening section because thanks to you guys, I have started the unfortunate habit of just like cracking my knuckles randomly. And while I was talking to her, I was like, "Excuse me, where are the gloves?" She was like,
God,
and I cracked them really loud. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, "Well, she's jumpy. Wow, I'm really good at this." I was just popping so loud. And then later, I was like, maybe I really shouldn't do that when I'm talking to a stranger. Just walk up, cracking my knuckles
yeah,
at them.
maybe not. Can you see her, Sarah?
Yeah, she's still just licking herself.
Great.
Cool.
Does anyone else have any questions for us tonight?
I don't know if this is really coming across as the kind of pose I want.
I think Jackson's little pose is so freaking cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just like the idea of this little toddler like screaming with delight every lightning flash.
Black Cat Blight asks, any recent funny stories to share?
I know. Well, this isn't really funny so much as like something really irritating that happened to me today and is kind of funny in retrospect, but we've had these ancient pumpkins out since...
Chumpkins.
You guys know what I'm talking about. Chumpkins.
Chumpkins.
We've had them out since October, and because of the cold weather, they haven't really, been rotting or anything, and they look pretty, so we've kind of left them while we were on our trip in Europe and everything. But then we had the really deep freeze for a couple days, and there was actual snow. And then today it was like 80 degrees out of nowhere, and the squirrels all ran out of their little houses starving to death and saw the pumpkin and were like, "Oh boy, food, I guess." And they just like ripped this hole in the rotting pumpkins, spewed pumpkin nast everywhere in this like circle around our patio. And they did this all in the time that it took me to take Rosie to the dog park. I had already made a mental note, like, I'm going to take those pumpkins out as soon as I come back from the dog park. And in the like less than an hour that I was gone, the squirrels decided to like massacre the pumpkins, and they sprayed pumpkin chum everywhere, and there were like slimy half nibbled seeds because I guess they got desperate and they were like, "Oh, I know what seeds are, I'm gonna try to eat them." And they were like, "Oh, I hate this," after digging through half of the pumpkin, and so they just left the chum everywhere and like a couple half-heartedly chewed seeds. It was really hard to pick up these giant pumpkins afterwards because their integrity was compromised by the tunnels in them.
Speaking of rodents. Oh, but you're not done yet. You're not done yet.
No, I am done. The part about me like throwing them in garbage bags and lugging them like a gross Santa across to the dumpster is not really that entertaining.
It was like 80 degrees on. Elena has on long pants, winter boots, flannel shirt, hauling these heavy pumpkins.
Well, I don't know why I was wearing a flannel shirt. I guess because I was thinking protection at the dog park from slime, and then it was way too hot. But then Sarah came home as I was lugging the last pumpkin, and she was like, "Do you want any help with that?" And I was like, "I know you don't want to carry this nasty, slimy, moldy pumpkin." And she's like, "You're right," and she went back inside.
That reminded me of something that I saw on campus actually earlier this morning. So many of you know that I have a work-study minion, and the work-study minion arrived, and I was giving him his tasks for the day, and then my superior came into the office and was talking to both of us at the same time, and
Rosie, get that out of there.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like she understood. Get your antler out of here.
So anyway, we all happened to turn and look out the window in my office at the exact same time. Rosie!
She's gonna nibble it with every word. She's waiting for you to talk some more.
Yeah. But, so we all turned to look out the window at the exact same time at the perfect moment to see this man. God! Rosie, could you go chew on the carpet?
I could put her in her crate if you want.
She has this, she has an antler that she is lovingly tending. Could we get her on the carpet?
Yeah. Hey, Rosie.
She's gonna want to come back to us because she loves us so much. You want to close the gate behind her?
Yeah. Well, then she'll just whine.
She might be okay. There you go.
Yeah, good. Oh. She has noticed the discrepancy.
She'll be okay.
So anyway, we all turned to look out the window at the exact same time, at the perfect moment, to see this man on the sidewalk, walking innocuously to some unknown destination. But as he was walking, this chipmunk ran up to him, collided with his leg, and rather than run away, it just ran up this man's belly. He was carrying a little briefcase, and he like...
Oh my god.
And he like threw the briefcase, and it split open, and all these papers flew out.
I can't believe this.
And I didn't. And you know, he did the dance of the like, there's something on me, there's something on me.
That's something that only ever happens in movies. I didn't even think that really happened. You get to witness all kinds of fun rodent stuff, Ash. Like that time that you said you saw that girl set down her bag.
Shh, I'm not done yet.
Oh.
So, anyway, like, he did the, damn it, Rosie, he did the, like, there's something on me dance, while his briefcase sailed off into the ether, spewing papers. And I heard this honking sound, and I turned and looked, and I realized it was my boss, like, laughing so hard that she was falling to her knees because she saw it, and my minion was just standing there slack-jawed, like, oh my god. And I didn't see the chipmunk jump off the man, but I'm sure it must have, you know, but it was so funny.
You should tell them about the girl with her bag that you saw that time. That's another thing I just couldn't believe was real.
God, yeah, there was many moons ago when I was still a student at the university where I now work. I saw So there's this place in the middle of my university called the Pit, and it's just this like indentation in the bricks in like a brick courtyard where a bunch of people sit and have lunch, and student organizations try to get you to join up, and it's nice. And especially on a sunny day, you can see a lot of people just chilling at the Pit, eating food and talking. And at one point, I was eating lunch or something in the Pit, and I saw this girl sitting like across from me on the brick steps, and she was animatedly talking on her cell phone. And I don't remember if she was eating something and then she put it in her bag, but on campus we have many very like zealous, extraordinarily fat squirrels, and they are not afraid of anything.
I've tried to scare them before because I have this evil habit of like, if I see a big group of squirrels or seagulls or what have you, seagulls especially, because as you know, if you follow this, I almost said podcast, this YouTube channel, you know that I have personal beef with seagulls, but I like to run up and scare them because I'm a jerk like that. These squirrels, they don't take shit. Like, no. You run up to them and they look at you like, what? Bring it, bitch. And I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'll be over here. Please have this entire sandwich. Anyway, so I see this girl like animatedly talking on her cell phone, and she puts down her purse next to her, and it's a pretty big purse, like one of those canvas kind of looking. I don't know. Laura knows more about purses than me. Anyway, her purse was like open and sitting next to her. Maybe it was more of like a bag. Anyway, she puts it down next to her, and she's talking on her phone, and maybe there was food in it, maybe she put something in it. I don't remember. It's been so long. But what I do remember is that one of these incredibly zealous, extraordinarily fat squirrels meandered up to her bag and then climbed into it. And before I could say anything, the girl, like, shrugged her bag back onto her shoulder and got up and walked away. And I could see the tail of the squirrel, like, twitching as she walked away from the Pit. And I thought that was really funny.
That is so funny and so, unfortunate. I hope she's okay.
I'm sure she's fine. But it was doing that, like, fluttery, twitchy motion. But the guy with the chipmunk today was even better, like, because he was just minding his own business, and then the chipmunk collided with him, and it was probably also like, oh shit!
And it was like, a tunnel! Safety! Up his leg.
It didn't run into his pants, it just ran up his body.
I thought you were saying it went, like in movies, this always happens, that it just ran up his leg and then he was dancing.
No, it ran up his actual body, like it was outside his
clothing. What a beautiful squirrel!
Yeah, kind of. Oh.
Lord.
Good gravy.
Are you going to have her actually holding a lightning bolt?
I wasn't planning on that.
I think it could be cool if she was. We don't have to have her holding one.
Quick question, have any of my textbooks been delivered here?
Not while I've been here. You gotta remember though, darling, I'm not usually here during the day.
I know.
I haven't checked the mail. Okay. And as far as I know, nobody delivered any today. Like to the front door.
Okay.
Are they supposed to come here?
I got confirmation that one of them had been delivered, but it's not here.
Oh, it must be in the mailbox then.
It's like a big book.
That's okay. There's a bigger box that they can put stuff in.
Yeah, they'll put the key in our thing, and then you can go get it.
Okay, I'll check it later.
Oh, Lord. Just thinking about that chipmunk.
Hey Ash, what was the name of the people that Zora was based on, so I can look up outfits for her?
Oh, Gullah.
Gullah, yeah.
Gulla.
Like Gullah Gullah Island?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, ends with an H, okay.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't actually wear clothes that look a ton like them.
No, I showed them to you
when I was designing her.
Yeah. And you would.
This lady kind of looks like Zora, like her hair and the patterns.
Can I let her see?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, actually, we might put her in her crate.
Yeah. We just didn't really want her to chew her antler on the hard floor.
Put it there. Great.
I think that'll be far enough away.
Mm-hmm.
Noisy.
Laura said, so I'm assuming part of the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad plan that Oscar and Catherine came up with involved a destination. Once Kat had to take the kids and hottail it, I think you mean hightail it, was she planning on taking them there? To this particular destination? The plan was just to get them away from the Abbey. I don't know that they had an actual destination in mind. I can tell you that it probably would not have been a big city, especially not one run by nuns. And
There's not a ton of places that stay safe for a foreseeably long time.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably would have thought, like, let's figure that part out when we get to it.
Yeah. Aw, Laura said, it's not hottail, I'm shocked. I'll never recover from this. Why, English language? I think hottail sounds pretty good too. It's slang anyway, so make up your own and stick with it. I mean, where'd dadgum come from anyway? Laura asks, why not a big city? Too much exposure? More like, well, yeah, I guess exposure is the right word, but more like too much of a chance of getting recognized. At least Salvation is the biggest city nearby Mercy, and they couldn't very well go there without some people recognizing Oscar and Catherine, given that both of them have committed service there before.
I'm gonna make as much noise as possible.
Is that, can they hear in the chat?
Go on.
You hear the noise that Rosie's making, probably. She'll chill.
Yeah, but Zeke's also being kind of a jerk. I don't know why. You've got food.
Have you looked at his teeth? They're bad.
Grody.
I think Ash and I have been trying to get a vet appointment for Zeke, but you said they were all full up.
The people who, do dentistry were like, unless it's an emergency, we really can't fit him in anytime soon.
It might be an emergency, though. Like, his teeth are really gross, and I think he's having trouble eating because of it. Like, he doesn't want to eat very much, and I think it's because his teeth hurt.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'm going to have to call one of the places back and insist.
Mm-hmm. Don't look at her, Ash.
I thought you were going to make a silhouette.
I was, but then I thought, there might still be some detail, and it's not very hard to draw the back.
Laura got it. She said, so once Catherine did have to run, and the twins were all like, let's go to Throne Did Catherine have a plan, or was she mostly freaking out, hoping to have an idea and begging God that Oscar would catch up? Yes. I think she was hoping for something else to either occur to her, or that Oscar would get there and be like, this is what we will do.
She's laying down. Don't look at her. Don't acknowledge
she
her
can't-
tantrum.
Eleanor, she can't see me.
Okay.
It's okay.
She's not make eye contact.
She's not looking at me.
They can't see you if your eyes aren't locked.
When I went to the grocery store right before we started the stream, I was really sad leaving because as I left, I went to the front door and Rosie was like, oh boy, we're going somewhere? And I was like, no, you're not coming. And I closed the door and she went, and then as I was exiting out the patio, she like ran to the other door and was like, and I was like, I'm sorry, Rosie. I'll be back so soon.
Cephalopod Queen says, if Zeke's having trouble eating, you can try feeding him plain boiled chicken and plain rice until you can go to the vet. It might be a little easier on his teeth than his usual food and tempt him enough to eat more regularly. Yeah, we know he is eating. It's more like Zeke has also gotten a lot more particular over the past year and a half. Even if he's not having any kind of distress, he's a little snot about his food. We have to, like, switch his foods up pretty routinely or he'll just stop eating one of them. So,
or he'll barely eat enough, like, to not starve. He'll eat, like, a couple of bites and then be like, I don't want any more. But at the same time, even though he doesn't want to eat it, he will harass any of our animals who, like, look at his food.
Yeah.
Even from across the room, he'll throw, like, this huge tantrum.
I thought it was a little kid thing to not want to eat your food. Yeah. How old is Zeke?
Apparently it's an old man thing, too.
Paulina Castle's asking, how old is Zeke? Zeke is, let's see. Ten. He's 10.
He's 10, but he looks great for his age.
He really does.
When the vet looked at his teeth, we took Rosie pretty recently, and the vet glanced at his teeth and said that his teeth did look like the teeth of a much younger dog. Dachshunds are pretty prone to teeth problems, even with the best of care. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think that they're going to have to extract any of his teeth, but I definitely think they're going to have to put him under and give him a nice scraping.
I don't know. When I looked at them, they looked like they had cavities.
Well,
yeah. So I don't know. I hope they don't have to pull any.
I hope so too.
It looked so weird with a little caved-in face. They have to pull his teeth.
It'll be fine. And prior, like, about a year and a half ago, Zeke was on this soft food that came in this gross meat log that we had to cut up and then cut into small pieces so he could eat. And then we transitioned him to a dry dog food that was specifically for dachshunds that was really nice. And he liked that for a while, but then he got tired of it and decided to stop eating it. And ever since he decided to stop eating it, we've cycled him through that food and switched it up occasionally with other good, like, kibbles. So he'll eat. We switched him away from the wet food because that's really not good for a dog's teeth long term, like, to have them only eat that. He did not have any teeth problems at the time. And also the food that we were buying it seemed like the quality was decreasing.
Mm-hmm. And this was like an expensive, supposed to be really good for your dog, highly recommended brand, but then it started to smell like it was rotting, and we found a pebble in it one time.
And a little piece of glass.
No, that was my food.
No, that was, remember, Kristen found it.
Oh.
Remember she kept it in a Ziploc bag?
Was it glass or just another pebble?
No, it was like a little piece of, it was mostly smooth, but you could tell that it had been a piece of glass.
Wow. Yeah, that's no good. But
I hope they don't have to, see, he just ate.
mm-hmm. Good boy.
Good boy. He's a good boy. Yes, he is. The doofus. No.
What's wrong?
No, they both need to get out of here. They're going to distress Rosie. Seek. Go lie down. Go lie down. He looks at me so hopefully. Laura asks, does Sister Claire have an inverse map of the world? Or due to the whole apocalypse biz, is it only maps of the charted world and then like have a sea monster? I don't know. Well, that's something that you'll be seeing more of in the future. There do exist maps of the entire world. As to whether or not they are currently accurate remains to be seen. There are...
No. Stop it. Rosie's being a little turd.
I lost my train of thought.
You said
You were answering the
as
question.
to whether they're accurate, that remains to be seen.
Oh, there are more current maps that have been made of certain territories and regions. I have drawn a map or two that that reflects some of the geography. Eventually, you will see these maps. Laura asks, is communication difficult outside a certain range around the big cities, like Salvation and Alpinum? Communication sometimes takes a long time. I guess it depends on what you define difficult as. Like, there are spelled birds, as you know. We've recently mentioned more about those in the missing moments. Like, despite the Helsing Abbey being quite far away from Throne of Mare, Clementine and Catherine and, all of her family and friends are able to correspond pretty routinely because of the birds. The thing that would hamper communication more than like land distance is ocean. If there are territories that are separated by great expanses of water, that takes longer. A lot longer.
Why don't they just send a magic albatross?
Look what Ricky drew.
Oh, I love it.
That's really cute.
Mm.
Oh. I approve.
Mm-hmm. Winkle's feeling ignored by me, so she goes to you.
Did she go to you?
Yeah, she's been rubbing her head on my leg.
I'm here for you, Winkle.
Oh, Jackson's head looks like a walnut.
Yeah. I still like my original idea of Zora throwing her into the lightning.
God, Elena.
Choose someone else.
Behave yourself. These are beloved characters.
Yeah, they are.
Kalandra asks, so wait, you guys are back in the US, right? How has it been coming back?
Good in some ways, sad in some ways. Mostly sad, just being reminded of what's going on in the US right now. Something I was able to forget a little more when I was away. But I'm happy to be home. Happy to be back with friends, with Rosie, with my fam. Happy to be working on the comic again, too. The break was nice, but it's also nice to get back into the swing of things.
Laura asks, are there shards all over the Sister Claire world? Like, no matter where you are, they'll pop up? That's a good question.
There's some places that are a lot harder for shards to access.
That is a very good question. This is so freaking cute.
You like it?
Yeah, I really do. What are you scowling at, Sarah?
Oh, I'm doing lab training.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were just like...
I'm learning about formaldehyde exposure.
I see.
It's a group subject.
I glanced over at Sarah and her face was like this rictus of anger. I'm like, oh, alright then.
That's her serious face.
Serious.
Oh, Sean asks, Ash and Elena, has Sarah moved back in yet?
I'm here. Here I am. I'm back. I live here now. I still don't know how the mail works.
But you rearranged our kitchen, which is great.
It looked like IKEA up and slapped a bitch in there.
There's space. Wow.
There's space. There's like a whole free drawer.
I'm very appreciative. I came downstairs that night and I felt like a princess stepping into her castle. I was like,
Oh, I thought you were going to say you felt like a Disney princess sang a song and her woodland creatures cleaned your kitchen. Come, my little friends, as we all sing a happy little working song.
When I lived here before and I used the kitchen, I was like, it's fine, it's not my kitchen. Shouldn't touch things, it's fine. But I was, we'll be living a little bit longer, maybe.
Yeah.
So, time to clean things.
Sarah, believe me, I have tried so many times to arrange things.
You never have to try again, Ash. They there.
Laura asks, do you girls know why exactly blessings and purified shards repel shards? Do they repel shards for the same reason? Yes, they do. Riggy asks, if there was an immense amount of suffering that would normally cause a shard, but there were tons of wards and protections within the area, where would the energy go and spawn, per se? That's a pretty good question, and I don't mean that in the that's a good question way. I'm pondering how to answer you here. That would probably, I guess a good example would be salvation. Like, salvation is, you will see, eventually you will see that salvation is located on kind of a peninsula. People in this world have learned that there are some natural things that will help with shard prevention. One of which, of course, as you all know, is water. Salvation is surrounded on 3 sides by water and walls. One of its sides is a land side. So on that land side, you can bet that there is an area that people have to go through that tends to be pretty populated by shards, since all the wards and protections of the city push the energy away. It does have to go somewhere. Around cities that are completely land-based, you will see a ring of, like, poisoned land. And the longer the city has been established, the wider that ring.
Sucks if you want to move.
Yeah.
Or go on vacation.
Or, I mean, think of how much it sucks for, like, people trying to import things or export things overland. Like, that's really shitty.
You order some bonbons on Amazon.com and they come full of shards.
I can't. I shouldn't curse too terribly much. I really want to read this aloud. I'll dim it down a little bit. Laura says, so you have to go through a ring of shit to get in or out of any given city? Pretty much. Riggy says, the shard moat. And Sean said, the shard way, the shard road. Yeah. Try not to imagine this, like, okay, cities in this world have to operate on kind of a different level than cities you may have read about in other fantastical settings, or just cities in general now. Like, it's not like you can just roll up to salvation any old time. That you have to have, like, you have to expect that there are scheduled windows when they will let you in. Times when a group of people will open the gates and protect your way in. If you just come up to the gate and start pounding on it and it's not one of those particular windows, you are stuck outside until they are ready to come and help you.
I'm just imagining Dorothy and her friends standing outside the door of Oz.
Oh, Kalandra says, is Zora's design based on Zora Neale Hurston or Esmeralda from Hunchback of Notre Dame? I can't answer the Hunchback of Notre Dame question. I don't know if Elena took any inspiration from that when designing her outfit in particular. I guess I can see where that similarity is, but
she is dressed like like kind of like a Roma person. Like I tried to think of travelers, and
It probably didn't help Elena that when I described Zora, I described her as having a caravan and having wagons.
And so immediately that was my thought, was like Roma people traveling in caravans and that sort of thing.
Which wasn't my thought. My thought was more people in like traveling here in the U.S., like in the
like pilgrims.
Yeah.
Little house on the prairie.
Yeah, like exactly. So kind of a
different cultures.
yeah. But about the Zora Neale Hurston part, appearance-wise, no, but that is exactly where I got the name from. That's actually, Laura says, so wait, Mercy must have a ring of shit, shit, shit. How did Claire and company get through it? Mercy does not have one because Mercy is quite new. It's also, Mercy doesn't have one particular thing that tends to encourage that ring of destruction and death and yikes. Mercy doesn't have walls. Mercy does have protective wards, but the borders are patrolled pretty routinely, and there's not a lot of suffering in Mercy. Shards don't occur there too terribly much, and like I said, it's not old. So it hasn't had a chance to establish that kind of ring yet. Really good question. Milk Sugar says, so I'm guessing cross-region trade is pretty unpopular for bigger cities, and they've become self-sufficient? Not quite. Some big cities have become more self-sufficient than others. And again, it depends on what you mean by big. Salvation is certainly not self-sufficient. It relies heavily on sea trade to keep things up. It also has a constantly rotating military, essentially, of nuns who come from lots of other surrounding abbeys to keep the wards and the walls erected to make sure the city stays safe. Now, Throne of Mare was pretty self-sufficient. I just lied. No, it wasn't. It also had sea trade. Oh my god. Ignore what I just said. No. Most cities are not self-sufficient. There really is only one that you'll eventually... I can't say that you'll eventually see it, but you will learn about it. And that's Alpinum, where Sylvia is from. And it's able to stay safe because it is very, very, very high up in the mountains. It does not have an enormous population, and it is really sequestered away from so many other things. It's hard. It's able to stay pretty safe just because of its remote location, and it's hard for shards to spawn there. Oh, that one drawer asked, hey Ash, I asked this during a previous live write, but are/were there wards that limit a witch's magic flow? Yes.
That's also hinted in a missing moment.
Riggy wants to know, is Alpinum near the Helsing Abbey? No, it is not. Laura asks, what has Alpinum been doing since Throne Mare fell? Are they still kicking? I am not going to answer that right now. I will leave you with that as a good question. People are asking, what's the difference between mercy and salvation? Mercy is a village. The size of it has been mentioned a couple of times. It's not terribly huge. When Olga first arrived, it had about 30 families, and these were not expansive families. At its present, in its present iteration, Mercy probably has a couple thousand people living in it. Some of Mercy's population is also transient, like refugees stop by there on their way to other areas. Okay. The question about wards limiting a person's magic, they mean like limit as in slow it down or diminish it, not slap it closed for good. Yes, there are wards that exist to do that very thing, but they are extraordinarily hard to make, and they are very, very volatile, and often they do more damage than good. Kalandra wants to know, where do the refugees go? Away from everybody else. Out into uncharted territories. Hey, Eleanor, rather than drawing jagged grass, have you thought about...
You say after I've already drawn like 99% of the grass.
Well, I was going to say, have you... Hang on. I was going to say, you could make it look like a prairie.
That's what I was planning.
Mm-hmm. But that grass tends to be taller and like wavy.
So covering up Jackson?
No, not necessarily. I think you're doing fine.
I don't want to cover up her feet is the thing. I want it to be like tall-ish, but not so tall that you can't tell she's jumping.
Yeah, and the wind may also be blowing it down, so that's a good, yeah. Laura said, so there is a limit to Sister Claire's known world, a point in which people are like, hell if we know. the silent lens? I think it would really depend on who you were asking. Someone like Abraham would know more about the extent of the world and where things are and what's there than, say, someone who has lived in salvation their entire life.
And thinks the world is flat.
I wouldn't say thinks the world is flat, but
have you ever seen a map? A map is flat. I imagine that education is not always amazing depending where you live.
I mean, look at what Olga taught at Mercy. You know, I feel like a lot of education is really, really biased. So, be you witches or nuns or neither.
I'm not just saying biased. I mean, teachers can be really hard to come by when you're living in a post-apocalyptic world.
Sure.
And there may be people who are like, well, it's not like I'm a classically trained teacher, proficient in everything, but I'll teach you what's good enough. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure the world is flat. I mean, every map I've ever seen is flat. Maps get me places accurately. They must be accurate.
This is true. Something else to consider. Technology and exposure to technology varies wildly from settlement to settlement. Oh, don't forget the landscape line between Jackson and Zora.
Oh, okay.
Paulina also had a question for you. She says, while you were drawing the lightning, I noticed you were alternating back and forth between various line widths within a single stroke. How did you do that?
I'm using a tablet, specifically a Wacom Intuos Pro, which I just got recently because my old Intuos 4 died. But the tablet has pressure sensitivity, and you draw on it with a pen. This one is a wireless pen. And when you press hard, it makes a thick line. When you press gently, it's a thinner line.
Laura has a question. Is the shattered city the only big ruin left of the old cities? From the time before time was time. No.
Wait, what was the question?
Is the shattered city where Cog made Olga's legs and where Clementine found the sleeper, is that the only big ruin left of cities before the apocalypse?
Depends, how would you define big?
Yeah, it's definitely a big one. Like, it's a bigger one. There are other ruins.
It may be the biggest, though.
That's true. Like, that's true.
But we have shown a lot of other signs of old things, and also not so old things, like statues of Clementine and stuff peppered along the roads the characters are taking and things like that.
There was a live write I did once about a magpie finding a ruin, and if I was going to consider something canon, like from the live rights, you could take that one. Kalandra wants to know, how's the new tablet?
The tablet itself is great. It was a real pain to install because first, the tablet software, because this is a much newer tablet than my old one, which was almost 8 years old. This tablet is so new that it did not work with my Mac OS. I was still running, oh gosh, I can't remember what the name of the old OS was, but I had to upgrade to Sierra in order just to install the tablet software. And in order to install Sierra, I had to delete a bunch of stuff to make room for Sierra on my computer because I have a MacBook Air and I have very little space on it. And so that was a pain. And then upgrading to Sierra destroyed my version of Manga Studio, which was also ancient. So then I had to buy that and install that. And after all of this headache, I was finally able to install everything, and it works like a charm. And it's also extra wireless. Like my old tablet, usually with tablets, the pens don't have a wire that connects to anything. But this tablet also doesn't need a wire to connect to my computer. It connects via Bluetooth, which is really cool. So one less headache.
Laura wants to know what model is it.
It's a Wacom Intuos Pro Medium. And I upgraded from a Wacom Intuos 4 Medium, which was about 7 or 8 years old. Served me well, considering I used it every single day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, people are talking about their favorite live rights. Mm-hmm. Y'all making me emotional over here. I'm glad you liked Light After, the one where I ripped out everyone's heart and stomped on it. Sorry. It's an Intuos Pro, what?
Intuos Pro Medium.
Medium.
If you're looking at the cost of it, be prepared to faint. Make sure you're sitting down. I wouldn't recommend this tablet to just anyone who wants to get into art or drawing on the tablet. It's really, there are other options if you're more of a hobby artist and if you don't need like all of the bells and whistles that I am accustomed to from my other tablet. I just wanted something that would be the equivalent of what I was used to using. But Wacom has a lot of options that are not quite as bank breaking.
There's also a lot of other brands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah's got a tablet that's not Wacom and it works really well.
Sean says, are Egg and Hanabi still alive in the current comic timeline? And Dove as well. Yes. Yes, they are.
Ash, should I tell you I made a friend in Singapore named Egg? I don't think this was her real name, but this is what she went by.
I see.
I never asked. But
I can't believe Egg is real.
Aw, Milk Chugger says, I love all of the live rights so much, but the recent ones with Marie being awkward and gently, incredibly gay are the ones I've reread the most at this point.
Marie!
I like writing Marie's perspective so much.
Baby gay!
Laura asks in regards to Hanabi, Dove, and Egg, does that mean they'll come back? Maybe.
I got an email. Thanks for completing your job training. You could start working yesterday.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Is this for your lab job?
Yeah.
We got a spam message in the Sister Claire folder that says, I need real Facebook fans. Well,
good luck with that.
I need a sack of money, but you know. Paulina says, I have a tablet and I know about pressure sensitivity. I asked about the variation in line width when you were in one stroke because every time I try to alternate between pressures, I get a smooth transition instead of a jagged line you created. And she was wondering if her settings were off.
She's asking how you vary it so sharply, so quickly, instead of making it like a smooth bubble.
Well, I would have to know a little more about your tablet and your settings and stuff, or what program you're using to give you any specific info. But I don't really know how to compare them without knowing that. Yeah.
People are talking about their favorite stories that we've told during live draws. And Sean said, my favorite live draw is tied with the Olga Fingers, the Elena and Seal story one, and the horse blanket one.
Oh my god, Elena, speaking of your elephant seal story, today I went in for lab meeting, and my lab director has recently come back from some big conference where everyone...
I was trying to put my feet up on this chair.
Okay, everyone at this conference studies metabolism of like wild and crazy animals, but someone was studying the metabolism of elephant seals, and in order to do this, they found out that elephant seals have the same carbon monoxide levels in their breath as heavy smokers because they dive so deep and they need so much oxygen when they dives. But anyways, to measure this, they need to get the elephant seals to breathe into this mask. And we were like, how do you do this? They're terrifying. You can't just step up to them politely, excuse me, stick your nose in. My lab director said it was something similar to, for like dolphins and orcas, they have this big thing that will onto their blowholes when they surface and measure a breath.
They don't have a blowhole. Like, just they stick it on their face?
I don't know. So I guess, like, when they surface, there's a similar kind of clamp. But he said that they do have to, like, anesthetize them. But it reminded me, I was tempted to share your story about being chased by giant elephant seals.
I saw this video that I could not believe was real. Like, people were sharing it on Tumblr this one time. It was about, it was a video of this woman who was laying at a beach, and all of a sudden this, like, female elephant seal lumbers over to her and just, like, lays down on top of her, and the lady was like, oh, how sweet, and she's, like, petting it like it's a dog, and I'm like, lady, do you see those giant scars all over it? Do you know what those are from?
Well, the female elephant seals don't fight, it's the males.
I know, but all of them are pretty aggressive. The males are, like, way more aggressive, but I don't even know how the lady survived it laying down on her, because they can weigh up to, like, a ton or something. They're ridiculously huge.
I don't get near horses. There's no way I'd be touching an elephant seal.
Yeah, no. Elephant seals are scary. I've learned my lesson.
Female elephant seals don't have, like, the gross nose, and they're also they weigh a lot less than the males. Well, they still do weigh a hell of a lot, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's no logical way for why the woman survived this encounter.
Are you sure it was an elephant seal?
Well, that's what Tumblr said, and it looked like an elephant seal to me.
Well, you know what? Tumblr also loves to say that your gift set of baby mice are rats, so...
I know, but it did, like, as someone who has seen elephant seals in the flesh, yeah, it looked like this. It looked like a female elephant seal.
Maybe it was not a grown one.
Maybe it was a child.
Did it look like this?
Oh, that's so cute. I didn't know they could be cute. That's what I'm used to. It's disgusting. I hate it. It looks like a caterpillar.
It does.
Ah.
Good.
Sorry, Sarah.
No, good.
This Hectix asks, mind if I ask you guys a question on the topic of characters and their relationships? In general writing, I mean, not just Sister Claire. What, in your opinion, is the best way to introduce a character's sexuality without any kind of backlash? There is not a way to do that. No matter how you do it, whether it is gracefully or with a big controversial bang, someone is going to say something somewhere. It always happens to us. No matter...
There's no perfect way to do anything. You're never going to please everybody.
Yeah, and you shouldn't try to.
Doesn't this look like Zeke as an elephant seal?
It looks like evil Squidward. I hate it.
Do you know how Zeke looks like out of his eyes? Like
the side eye, yeah. Rosie also makes these faces, but Rosie's a million times cuter when she does it.
But Zeke has that same like smooth little round head and long
it.
body. It's a little baby Zeke.
Hectic says, would it be better to introduce it from the get-go or introduce a situation where it becomes immediately relevant? Like a situation where a character begins to flirt with someone in combat or their ex comes back to town. Like Riggy just said, that depends on the character probably and their history or current situation. Yeah, like that can vary from story to story. Do you want it to be introduced from the get-go? How much do you want it to matter in the context of the story? Like, you know, Catherine's character was introduced and had done a heck of a lot of other stuff before anyone found out she was Ace. Same with Oscar. Like, people saw Oscar in the comic a long time before anyone knew she was trans, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that's the way you should do it. Hectic says, I've always had a personal view that when you do any kind of character, who they are is more important than what they are. Again, like Ricky just said, what they are is part of who they are, or it could be. You know, and if that's your personal view, well, then I think you just answered your own question, darling. It seems like you know where you're going. Good. Did you buy the little tortillas?
You like the little ones?
I
Ash,
don't.
what in the world? You got the big ones too, right?
Yeah.
Hectic said, I just don't want to step on anyone in particular when I write things. You're gonna.
You just have to accept that it's going to happen. It's what's much more important is how you respond when people tell you, like, hey, this was hurtful to me for whatever reason.
Like, believe me, in certain situations, you're not even going to be able to breathe without making someone upset at you. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, no one is going to be forced to read your writing. And if they have a problem with it, all you need to do is tell them, find something else to read.
Which we've had to do pretty recently.
Oh, yeah. Sean says, Ash, in your opinion, is it canon that Elena and wild animals don't get along? In my experience, what other wild animals have you encountered while in my presence? Elena once saved me from a truly enormous spider, and was like able to sense it.
I do have a particularly strong affinity with spiders. I rescue them. I rescue you, and I rescue them a lot. So I like to think that I have a positive rep in the spider community. I mean, I kept a black widow, and she never hurt me. So even though she did crawl across my hand one time. But yeah, sometimes it's really hit or miss with animals. I think that generally I'm pretty good around them, but sometimes I just tend to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. The time with the elephant seals, 100% my fault.
Yeah.
Like, that I can't blame on bad luck or anything. That was just me being a dumb kid. But the time at the zoo that the gorillas threw their feces at me, that was not my fault. That was the kid next to me who was taunting the gorillas, and gorillas are smart, and they know when you're making fun of them. And so they just shotgun blasted us all with feces, and I happened to be right in the line of fire. And that same day, a tapir decided to pee on me for no reason. I wasn't making fun of it. I was just looking at it. I was excited because I played Amazon Trail. I knew what a tapir was.
Laura wants to know, is salvation as old as Throne and Mare? I think I'm going to go with an I don't know on that one, but they've definitely been around for a long time. Roke Reptile says, what's your opinion on stories that don't start at the beginning? Favorable. Look at our comic. Like, the missing moments are all out of order. The comic itself starts, from the perspective of someone who doesn't know the whole story. Again, you can define a beginning in so many different ways. Yeah, I'm going to agree with Milk Sugar. Milk Sugar says, stories that begin mid-plot can be interesting. It really depends on how it's presented, though. Sean said Star Wars. Yeah, there you go. Like, as Star Wars progresses, you find out that you're not starting out at the beginning. You're starting out right in the middle of someone's story. Aw, Jamie drew a chipper-looking Clementine. Look, Ellen.
Aw, I love this.
That's cute. Precious. That's really good, Jamie. Super cute. Oh, I'm glad that people like Clementine.
What are people saying about Clementine?
They're saying, some of them are saying that she's their favorite character.
Oh.
Oh, Jamie also did a really nice drawing of Magpie.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Really good job.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's so Magpie.
Good. Oh, Laura wants to know, Elena, do you know how many frames you drew for the New Year's surprise?
Too many. I don't know. Countless.
You think a couple hundred or less than that?
Oh my god, more than that. It's probably closer to 200, 300. There was a lot. A lot of them are like very simple transitions too, but like every single gesture or change had to be its own file. I ended up with, I divided it into folders by the song lyrics. So like each little paragraph of the song had its own folder. Yeah.
Proxy asks, is there any chance of a full animation? No.
I don't have the time or the skill to do that. I feel like my time is a lot better spent actually making the comic.
Kalandra wants to know if you'd ever done animation before.
A little bit, not really a ton.
She also says, thank you so much for the New Year's surprise. It was so sweet.
I'm really glad you like it.
Laura says, I found it very interesting the way you drew Catherine's mom. Quite. That is Catherine's mom, by the way. There were questions about whether it was Gabby. It's not Gabby. Pay attention in the animation, well, the animatic. Pay attention in the animatic to the clothes that that character is wearing. It's nothing like you've ever seen Gabby wear. Sean says, how many hours did you put into the New Year's surprise?
God, I don't know.
Also countless.
Months.
Yeah.
And I never worked on it. Well, there were times that I worked on it for hours at a time, but basically it was in all my free time because I was still updating the comic and stuff in the meantime. And there were some things that I did while we were on vacation in Europe. It was a lot.
We scripted it in, I believe, October. Wasn't it? It was, I think it was like late October. Milk Chugger said, which nun is most likely to eat a bug for a dare?
Rosie.
I was going to say Rosie, yeah. Milk Chugger said, I was thinking Rosalie, which is what actually made me ask that, but I gotta know. I gotta have the word of God. Well, there it is. It's Rosie.
Lupo too, but you know, Lupo and Rosie are pretty similar.
And Lupo's not a nun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I think I'm almost done with this.
It looks really nice.
Thank you.
Laura says, how many pages left in chapter 9, do you wager?
Well, we haven't quite scripted it. If Ash had her way, it would be maybe like 3 or 4 more. I think it's maybe going to be 1 or 2. No? Less than that?
No, it's definitely going to be 3 or 4.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking for this scene, but yeah, the entire chapter is going to be still not that much more. Maybe 5?
Yeah, less than 10. Less than 10 pages left. We know what we want to happen. We haven't scripted it out panel by panel. We like to leave room to change a couple things along the way. But this one we know a lot of the dialogue and stuff already. Like we've written that down. Sean wants to know, how long does the scripting take? That really depends on how firmly my ideas and Elena's coincide. Like, sometimes we blow through it really quickly. It also depends on how much we're scripting at a time. We tend to try to do several pages at a time, so Elena can have, like, if she finishes one page and I'm not physically with her at that time or not able to talk to her, she can go ahead and start on the other one. But if we're both in, like, fair agreement over what should happen in a scene and, like, our visions line up, it doesn't take us long at all. We'll bat the dialogue around and I'll suggest, like, certain poses for things, and Elena will find a way, doubtless, to make it more dynamic because she's the artist and I'm not.
Oh, you were nice. I thought you were going to say, Elena will doubtless find some way to make it way more complicated than it ever has to be.
Well, that's also true. Elena loves to make things, like, real freaking complicated, but, and every time, y'all, every freaking time I try to give her an easy page to do, she's like, I'm like, okay, Elena, this page shouldn't take you long at all. It's only 3 panels. She, like, 5 hours later, she sends me a file on Skype, and she's made it, like, 5 panels, and each one has, like, killer perspective and stuff in it, and she's like, I am dying, help me. And I'm like, damn it, Elena, it was supposed to be grass. Like,
I wanted to do a cityscape.
Elena's like, I had to make a whole new brush for the tops of the grass so it would be realistic. And I'm over there like, ah! Oh, that was cool with the purple.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, yeah.
I might change it though. Ooh, that's really bright.
Oof.
I don't like that as much. Hmm. Oh, that's better. I don't know about the purple. I think it's nice.
Something about scripting too, things that may take us longer. If I'm trying to convince Elena of something, that can take a long time. I will sit there and try to make her see what I'm seeing, and I'll try to explain it panel by panel.
It's like a reality show, and Ash has to lip sync for her life to impress all the judges.
And I don't draw, okay? I'm not a very good artist, and when I try to explain how I think a page should look or how a pose should be, I'm like, where a character's doing the thing, and Elena's over there, like, irritated and going, no, I don't know, show me. And so I sit there with her little like a shitty ballpoint pen that's been living in a pencil case of hers for like 18 billion years that barely works, and I'm trying to sketch it, and oh my god, y'all, it looks so bad. And she'll look at my arcane scribbles and then look at me like, what the hell is this? And I'm sitting there going, okay, this isn't working. How about I just talk to you about it? And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Paulina says, I vote to make it was supposed to be grass, an official phrase to mean that a creator is overcomplicating something. Laura is saying, you can totally draw, Ash.
I agree. You can.
You can draw, Ash.
I can't draw Claire.
You've drawn some
You drew a
beautiful
really
flowers.
cute picture of Claire, just because it wasn't like in my art style. It was good.
You also drew a really nice picture of Oscar that I saw.
Mm-hmm. I did what picture? Oh, the little scribble of her looking like a character, like Miss Clavel from
It's
Model.
so
Yeah, I really loved it.
Something is not right.
Okay, I think this is mostly done. I want to go bedtime. I'm tired.
Bed. What about food?
I'm tired.
Sean wants to know if either of us have ever seen a putu bird. A potu, potu, I don't know how you say that damn word. The bird with the really weird mouth thing.
There's a lot of birds with weird mouths.
Okay, I'll look it up on Google for you.
You know what has a weird mouth?
Like
Pelicans that eat their own neck. Have you seen that video? It's like an eldritch horror. I hate it. Oh yeah, I have seen those. They're really cute.
They're cute and weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's my bird soda. My mouth isn't that big. Oh, Laura said, I have your watercolors on my wall, lady. Don't you even with me. I said I couldn't draw. I didn't say I couldn't paint.
Ash just got it all.
I've what?
You've got it all. You can do it all. You can write, you can draw, you can paint. You can fly, you can fly, you can fly.
Black Cat Blight asks, which plot point that we have seen so far did y'all take the longest to get on the same page with?
There's a lot.
What can you think of, Eleanor?
A lot of things about Clementine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I had a pretty different idea of her before you kind of sank your claws into her and made her yours, which I think improved the character. And actually, we're now going back and kind of adding some of the things that I had initially.
I mean, I never really protested a lot of the stuff that you wanted featured in Clementine. I think I didn't want to introduce her that way. I wanted to show where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you've seen them. And, yeah. If you go back, for what we're talking about, audience, if you go back and look at some of the earliest live writes with Clementine, specifically there was one where Clementine was in Mummel's house and she wanted to talk to Catherine and Catherine wasn't there. The way Clementine acted in that live write versus how you see her now, like there's a big difference, but that was me trying to get a feel for the character. That is more indicative of how I think Elena perceived her.
Mm-hmm.
And that should give you some insight into where things are going.
I want to say more ideas that I had about Clementine, but I'm not sure now if some of them are going to be spoilery.
Yeah, I would. Oh, Milk Chugger says, when will we see the Bubble Boys again? And Ricky said, never. That's not true. You will see them again. They grew on me. Like, they grew on me quite a lot. And
Ash didn't like the cats. That was something that we had talks about. She was like, why do all these cats have to follow Claire around all the time? Stop drawing damn cats everywhere.
I got irritated with the cats until there was an explanation for them.
Whereas I was like, Ash, it's marketing material, okay?
You need to make plushies someday.
The internet loves cats. I will say that in the original story, Claire was going to have a cockatoo and a chameleon, not cats. There were no cats in the picture. And the cockatoo was going to be Gabrielle, and the chameleon was Grim. What became Grim.
You were following the Disney formula of having not one, but two animal sidekicks.
Yes, exactly. That was literally what I did, though, when I was coming up with the comic for class. I was more basing it on, like, anime and manga, and I was like, there's always a mascot character. I can't decide. Makes more sense for a nun to have, like, a good one and a bad one. And they'll sit on her shoulders. And that was where it came from, but... And those characters kind of morphed into Snowy and Grim, representing kind of a yin and yang for Claire, I guess. Or more like, I think, Claire is the yin to Clementine's yang, or is it vice versa? I don't know which one is the dark one and the light one, but...
I don't know. I don't think we should talk too terribly much about light and dark.
Yeah, that's kind of a theme.
It is, but I don't think we should say one is, like, the epitome of...
Well, it's more like I think they're different sides of the same coin. You disagree?
I think it depends when in the timeline you're talking about. And, like, when you consider which character.
Which character?
Hey.
I haven't tried a lot of these Kyle's real watercolor brushes, but I'm testing a lot of them out for the first time.
Make yourself a paint swatch someday.
Sean asked, creators, Clementine and Claire will never meet, right? I am not going to promise anything. Like, you could ask me now if Oscar and insert character here are going to meet, and unless it was, like, directly obvious in the narrative, I probably wouldn't answer that, just because that's spoilers. Spoilers.
I think it's done.
It looks really cool.
Thank you.
Looks really good, baby. Laura says, is Grim in the present comic time still thinking Claire is Clementine? Grim's perspective is a little different. Not only is Grim confused, but there's a lot I can't say because, again, spoilers.
On that note, I think we should ask if anybody has any final questions before I go ahead and post this.
Roke Reptile says, which character took you the longest to name?
I don't know. Clementine took me a while.
Yeah?
Actually, no, she didn't. But, you know, it's really funny why the name Clementine came around. Because when I initially made a Facebook page for Sister Claire, it was so early on, it was before Facebook allowed you to make, like, a company page. You could only make personal accounts. And I wanted to promote my comic through Facebook, and as far as I know, I may have been the first webcomic to do that, to make, like, an account for my character to promote the comic. And I made one for Claire, but you couldn't sign up with just one name, like Claire, and it wouldn't let me put Sister as my first name. So I had to come up with a last name for Claire, and I was like, what's a really rhymey kind of comic book name? Thinking of, like, Bucky Barnes and things like that. And I was like, Claire Clementine, that'll work. It starts with CL. I never thought it would come up again, but then it actually became relevant in the comic as a nickname that Catherine called her, and then it became Clementine's name. So, just goes to show how these spur-of-the-moment decisions end up affecting a really important thing.
I really enjoyed Grimm's name, and
Grimm went through a couple of renames. Grimm was originally going to be Legion, which, named after the Demon Legion, because Grimm was going to be made of a lot of different souls, and Grimm is now too, made of multiple entities. But shall we ask if there's any more questions? I need to eat and rest.
Black Cat Blight said there's a piece of Zora's belt bead string thingy that is the same color as the background.
It's okay. I don't care.
Okay. Okay.
One of my New Year's resolutions this year is that this is going to be the year of it's good enough, because I can't go spending all my time nitpicking over every last detail.
Now, she says that now, and you all heard it, and,
watch you next Sunday.
Yeah, this coming Sunday, when she's putting the finishing touches on, when she will have been supposed to have been putting the finishing touches on the comic, she's going to be flipping out over some grass. I guarantee you.
Shall we sing goodnight? Is there one more question?
Jamie wants
One more.
Jamie wants to know if Henny will be in any more missing moments. Probably. All right. On that note, this was recorded, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's double check.
Oh, Laura wants to ask something. I think I'm waiting for it to appear. Oh, Laura wants to tell me that I am exactly as perfectionist as Elena is.
It's true, so I don't want to hear it. Ash will look at what I've updated. You forgot the apostrophe!
That's different. That's different, okay? You will be like, this panel doesn't have enough blades of grass on it. And I'm like, okay, but there's thousands of others. I'm sure it will be fine. Or the constellations in the sky aren't the same, or some random thing like that. And then I look at, the grand total of 20 words on a page, and when one of them is misspelled and the other one is in the incorrect tense or something, I'm like, okay, no, this cannot stand. This is going to be so obvious. It's surrounded by bright white, for God's sake.
I agree that on the comic page, it should be correct. And unless it's already 4 a.m. and I am desperately, in a zombie state and I need sleep right now, I'll usually fix it.
Yeah.
What I don't care nearly as much is the description under the comic. If it says, see you tomorrow, or something, it's people know. Okay, they know.
But I don't usually, that's a matter of, professionalism.
Well, why don't you get the login so you can nitpick over everything I type and fix it behind me?
I have tried to get
Come behind me with the broom and sweep up my mess and my sins.
On that note...
I'm gonna sing now.
I was ready. I'm like,
good night, good night, good night, good